the African front. Financial audit forces Senegal to reassess IMF program strategy. I remember we have PAMSCAD, we have back in Ghana, back in the day. Whatever.
Monolo radio ni sale so listen. Monolo radio guy. So later then 2 hours time. Oh, private number left in quick.
Massacre in Sudan's Gizera state. To tell you more about all that as the program goes on. I foresee parliament with a majority from one party, president from another party. That's what he's saying. Is that true? A shock rendition of liquid baby fertilizer farmers are saying. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Chief Imam urges MPs to show goodwill in resolving parliamentary impasse. Now, do you think that is in any way, shape, or form going to act or do anything about it? Well, someone as Sogli has acted in bad faith over shutdown due to ECG debt. They've not acted in bad faith. They are there to do business. Now, if they give you a credit limit and you go beyond it and there are no assurances that you're going to be doing it, well, they decided to shut the whole thing down. They say, pay up, or we're not going to give you electricity. How long has the government actually gone on this path to make sure that we have stable electricity or power supply in the country? I remember back in the day when they were coming in, there was Doomso, and then they were talking about Doom.
All right, Moki, well, very good morning on the 28th of the month of October 2024. We're going live on the Starr Radio for just 30 minutes or thereabout, where we will continue update and all manners of discussion as we do on this platform. Good morning and welcome to our transmission. Mokibubua, Ebamikbi program here, please.
Some water imported to the country and bring it for that is okay with them. But this and a lot more we're going to be bringing your way this morning. But for now, let me tell you that I've got the white lion himself on air now, and let's go straight to him and let me see whether he can hear me. And let me say good morning to you, Yummy.
Good morning to you. I hope you can hear me back in the studio.
Loud and clear, loud and clear. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well, apart from a bit of drizzling from the northwest of London, very close to the A40 where I am currently pulled over so that we can have our morning discussion. Well, a little bit not too far from Wisdom. I could see the buses, and as usual, it's drizzling. I'm sure you've given the update on the weather already. We're currently in winter. That means that as much as I might be dressing warm, I'm in the vehicle, but we are stationed. But I also have my jacket, and as always advised, make sure you have a bottle of water, because when you travel on the motorway, you never know what could happen. So you're always advised to do so. But it's a good weekend, and I hope you've had a great weekend as well, and it's great to be back on the morning show this morning, and I'm going to come straight back to you in the studio at exactly 3 minutes past 11 this morning.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki on the A40 somewhere, but just making sure he's packed, not that he's driving and talking so that people say no. We lead by example, and that's exactly what he is doing this morning. So were there any activities planned for the Yoruba nation over the weekend? Was there anything of the sort? Was there any activities there?
Well, we can say that we have the last event, which was in Germany on Thursday, in still celebration of Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho, which was held on Thursday. And, everybody has returned back to their base. And the next line of action is a communique that will be coming from, the leader of the movement, Professor Adebanji Akintoye, that will be giving us more updates, especially with the upcoming meetings of the Obas in the Yoruba land, that many people are worried and concerned that there is another agenda to keep the Yoruba people back in Nigeria, and that is the reason why the meeting has been called. But apart from that, It is just the awareness that continue while there's a lot of other issues going on in Nigeria. We'll be talking about that this morning because we know that so much news goes on in Nigeria, and that's the reason why we're here to give those news and the development in what we call the global trotting from Africa, Europe, and across the continent.
Good, good. Just one before we come to the substantive issues that we are looking at this morning. How has the awareness creation, roped in more people? Did you see, if you look at your data with the Yoruba, we know that it's not everybody who understands the West or what is going on. But with the Chief's birthday statement that Professor had made, and the effort that you have put in on the Koikimedia and the Yoruba nation worldwide, all the activities that have, you think it has roped in more people who have now become conscious of what is going on?
Well, you're quite right. If we go back to, after the 12th of October, it seems that, the awareness shot back into a big limelight, especially when you have, the federal government attacking again, the British consulate and the British High Commissioner in Abuja, Dr. Richard Montegori, just to give a clarity of what took place in London on the 12th of the month of October after, Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho, on behalf of the Yorubas and on behalf of the leader, to submit, these letter that has gained a lot of publicity, as much as there might be some negativity from those that disagree with the movement. But what that's done is that it has raised the question bar on what needs to have been done before that letter. And like I always say, a letter was submitted on the 17th of April to the President Bola Tinubu and his predecessor Muhammadu Buhari, but they refused to do anything on that letter. But this particular one that nobody knows the content apart from Professor Adebanji Akintoye continue to put pressure on the federal government to really want to know what the next move of the self-determination of the Yoruba people. And also, in the line of that, we are coming towards the end of October. And happy birthday to my sister yesterday, celebrating her birthday. December 2nd is when the Biafra are also saying, according to the PM government in exile, Simon Ekpa, that they will be making what we call declaration. What declaration means to different people is different, but what declaration means to those that are campaigning is that when that is declared, they are holding that territory. And that means that, the Nigeria, as one of the biggest in Africa, is going through a lot of, test of time. How these will be managed within the next 2 months is what we will be monitoring from home and from outside the country as well.
Well, listeners, this is Starr Radio, okay? And this is the Monday edition of the Morning Show. I'm this from Nigeria, the Morning Show with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. I'm here in the studios, and he is somewhere in London on the M40. But we're going to be bringing you more on all that. So wherever you are, don't you touch the dial at all. This is Starr Radio, okay? And now let's move on. Now, back in the day when we had a military regime, when there wasn't rule of law, it was autocracy and authoritarianism, then we can have somebody coming out and say, you know what, hey, I'm going to let you vanish. And that is, because there is no rule of law. You have power, you have the military, you have a gun, you do whatever you want. But we're talking about, they talk about the rule of law, they talk about democracy, and they talk about all that. So for a House of Representatives or a rep coming out to say to a delivery driver, I'm going to make you disappear, there may be he has got some juju that he's going to use to make the person maybe disappear from his the front of his house. But what took place, Yomi?
Well, you're never surprised with what is happening in Nigeria, and you are quite right. It was a dark era, especially during the military days in Nigeria, where many innocent Nigerians got missing because they disagree, with the government of the day. Especially, when Abacha was in power, there was a lot of death. The late MK Abiola died during that period. The wife, Kudirat, also died, and many other. And not just that, even during the days of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, we had the death of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Bola Ige, died. We had Funshaw Williams died. We had Dele Giwa that was sent a letter bomb as at the time that Babangida was in power. So it's not new that, we've had and we've seen, many disappearance of innocent Nigerians. We are not talking about journalists now. If you talk about journalists, I can take you back to Daddy Yati. Daddy Yati has been missing from Kaduna for the last 3 years. But let's take a listen to what transpired, and I'll give you a better understanding. This is a voice of a House of Rep and a boat driver that delivered whatever was delivered, but these are the discussion that took place.
Know where you are? Do you know who I am? So you think I will give you my money with the way you have spoken to me? I did a job for you and you have to pay it. You will not see any, you will not see a penny from me. With this level of disrespect, you're very stupid. Very, very stupid. Madam, who is this stupid boy that you sent to my house? Who is this foolish boy that you sent to my house? How can this stupid idiot come to my house and tell me that I'm supposed to come and meet him in his car and pick up stuff that I'm buying from you?
All right. Let's now, give you a bit of his picture. Information has come out, and we've found out a little bit about him because he's a current member. And I want us to take it back to what is happening in Cheshire, where a member of parliament was punching a member of the public, and he has already been suspended. But as I speak to you this morning, these individuals have not been suspended. The police has not done anything yet. And these are the kind of power monger. This is the face of, his name is a federal House of Rep member, Alex Ikwega, that assaulted the delivery driver, and not just only assaulted. He says he can lock him up in his garage, in his generator garage. It can even make him disappear. And the word disappear means that it can kill him, and nobody would do nothing, because it's not the first time. And this is the face of, what we can call another power drunk, representative in Nigeria this morning. Like I said, the reaction has been going on, and, this is what woke many Nigerians again this morning with many other issues. And I can tell you quickly that there's been reaction from not just one person, but thousands of millions of Nigerians. But I would like to take one for those that believe in the self-determination. And this is what Simon Ekpa is saying, because remember that this particular House of Rep is from the southeast part of the country. And this is the reaction from Simon Ekpa, even though we know that there's a Monday lockdown on the whole of the southeast this morning. But according to Simon Ekpa, put out on his timeline just about a few hours ago, this is one of the dishonorable, I don't want to use the word that he has used, but again, is not the kind of word that we want to use on the platform, intoxicated with Nigerian power. This is the reason him and his likes can never support Biafra. He will meet his match in us.
Well, listeners, it's quite an interesting development from there, because here in London, as Yomi said, an MP, let me bring that to you, MP Mike Emsbury has been suspended from the Labour Party after CCTV footage emerged appearing to show him punching a man to the ground. Now, he's saying that his life was at risk and then under threat, and that's why he needed to do that. Okay, immediately, before the investigation starts, he's been suspended. But what would the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House of Representatives do, or his party? Are we going to see anything? As this man is saying, look, I can make you disappear, and nobody, and that's how power drunk these individuals are. What do you think about that? It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, exactly at a quarter past 11. And it is the morning show. Mr. Olayomi Koiki in the north. I'm here in the south, and we are bringing you everything that you need to know. The Nigerian Labour Congress has... Okay, sorry, there was a doorbell. I was just checking that. The Nigerian Labour Congress has criticized the International Monetary Fund for the denial of responsibility regarding the Nigerian government recent removal of subsidy on petrol. Now, Yomi, I remember that back in the day we had the the IMF saying that if the subsidy is not taken away, government subsidy, meaning the amount of money the government is spending to subsidize fuel is not taken away, Nigeria's economy is going to suffer, and the inflation and everything. So it was based on their recommendation that the government took that step, unless, of course, it wasn't. But it looks like IMF is denying that. Can you tell us more about that? And what is the reaction of Labour Union?
Well, when it comes to IMF and, the rest of Africa, we know, the kind of pressure that IMF puts on the government of African countries, and Nigeria is also included. But this morning, like you said, the headline is coming from the Nigerian Labour Congress that is now slamming the International Monetary Fund for the fuel subsidy. When Tinubu came to power a year ago, the president made it known that the subsidy can no longer continue. But the question many Nigerians are asking is, where is the money that has been saved from the subsidy? Because that money itself, is not reflecting in the lives of millions of Nigerians. Remember that 2 weeks ago, we talked about 129 million Nigerians that have now entered the stage of poverty. So what the Nigerian Labour Congress is saying is that the International Monetary Fund, for its denial of the responsibility regarding the Nigerian government recent removal of this fuel subsidy. Many Nigerians have enjoyed this subsidy, but the government says we can no longer, have this subsidy because the subsidy is taking the chunk of the money from the government coffer, and only few are enjoying it, not even the majority of the Nigerians. So in a statement last night by the NLC President Joe Ajaero, criticized the IMF for presenting its harmful recommendation as the growth strategy, which have led to the increased social, economic hardship and stagnation in Nigeria and other nations that have followed a misguide. During the press conference at the IMF, the World Bank annual meeting in Washington, D.C., Abebe Salisi, the IMF African Regional Director, characterized the Nigerian government decision to remove the fuel subsidy as a domestic issue that they are not interfering as well. But the IMF recent statement shows a vision claiming Nigerian subsidy removal was a domestic decision while ignoring its significant influence. The question is, was it the right thing to do to remove the subsidy without any plan for many Nigerians that rely on these, or what can the government do with the money acquired from the subsidy that have been saved for a very long time?
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time to 90 minutes past the top of the hour. The thing is, when government decided that Tinubu came in and on his inauguration decided to take the subsidy away, that impacted the economy of the country, which was down already, and made it worse. But I know that when he was coming, he was giving the hint that he was going to do that. But as whether the IMF now denying that they didn't do that, but that, it was the local economy itself, the federal government who thought of it to do that. And again, we know information are coming to say that government is still subsidizing fuel. But they've not taken everything out. Do you have any figures pertaining to that and how is actually going on there?
Well, you're right. Many analysts believe that the subsidy is still being paid. The government have not denied that, but they've not come out with any figure. One of the most dark part of Nigeria is the NNPCL. It seems that, is a kind of a darkness that everything is shielded. You are not given information. And when those information comes out, it looks like, the numbers doesn't tally. So what we can say is that as much as, President Bola Tinubu says that the subsidy has been removed, many of us believe that there is still subsidy being paid to many of their cronies that are still making it very difficult, that even many Nigerians cannot access, the PMS this morning, because you're looking at about 1,200 naira per liter, and the average cost of moving from one end, from Dokpemu to Oshodi, is about 1,000 naira, which should have been about less than 500 naira in the past.
Wow. If you are listening to us, you can share your take with us. We promise you that we're going to read that. But let's go on straight, because we know that Yomi is pressed with time already. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has assured its commitment to diligently monitoring and tracking expenditure of the 774 local government chairmen. Okay, now we see that because we know the federal government gives these monies out to the various local government to run affairs. Now, there have been issues where some of these monies have vanished. We don't know what they use it for. We know the Auditor General and the Accountant General, and they all come and paint these things. But what is difference? What is different there? Are we going to see anything there? They've been there. ELCC have been there all this while. And we have people, let me put it this way, chopping the money like no man's business. What is that story about?
You're quite right. We have 774 local government across the country. And I can tell you, most of them as useless. They are not, making any impact to the lives of the many Nigerians. And they are not putting the effort because, the money itself doesn't come straight to the local government chairman. It goes to the governors, and the governors refuse to disburse the money. And that is why the High Court, some few months, gave the order that the autonomy of the local government should be allowed. But it seems that as of today, none of the state governors is giving room to that. So that means that whatever the allocation is coming from the federal government on a monthly basis, the local government funding is still being withheld by many of the governors. So, but what the EFCC is now saying that we will track the fund of the local government autonomy beginning from November. I'm not sure why this has been left for too long, because if you're going to look at the location where we are parked right now, the whole area in the northwest part is well taken care of by the London Borough of wherever, it could be. And that means that whatever funding is coming in there, will be used to look after the elderly, the children, the schools, and many other activities. I've seen the truck drivers moving out this morning, picking up the beans. Remember that the winter is dropping very fast, and that means we have more, leaves on the floor that also needs to be moved because of the safety of the public. So going back to Nigeria, last minute resistance from the state governors to direct payment of the statutory allocations of the local government areas will kick in November. We will monitor to see whether the state governors would allow the autonomy of the local government to function without any kind of interference, because that has been the hindrance between the local government and the citizen itself. But according to the national president of the National Union of the Local Government Employees, Akim Ambali, disclosed the latest information after an interview yesterday. The EFCC, the Economic Financial Crimes, have now assured of its commitment to diligently monitoring the tracking and the expenditure of the 774 local government from the federal government every month. The latest development mark is a significant turning point in the implementation of the local government autonomy that I said earlier, that was mandated by the Supreme Court ahead of the 31st deadline. So that means that within the next couple of days, the deadline for local government to be fully autonomous should take place. And that means the EFCC now wants to monitor the funding, because we do not want any local government chairman to come to UK and use the funding for the local government to buy a 2-bedroom somewhere in part of England, Wales, Scotland, or outside the United Kingdom.
Well, will they? Can they? Let's see. see what is going to happen. But ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, I'm going to hand over to him for him to bring you all the rest of the other stories going on and what is happening on the social media as well. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, it seems that the federal government is telling us this morning that the foreign reserve has now risen to about 39 billion US dollars, according to Cardoso Olayomi. He said that the reserve have grown significantly with the remittance flow, which currently represent 9.4% of the total external reserve. What that means is that myself and many other Nigerians, around the world, continue to send in that remittance, say, back home to support their loved ones in education, in healthcare, in food, which is the most important, part of the country this morning. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayomi Cardoso said that the country foreign reserve rose by 12.7% to 39.12 billion as at October this month. Cardoso stated this while appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on the banking regulation. The apex banks noted that the nation's foreign reserve stood at $34 billion at the end of June. The reserve rose from 39.12 billion as at October 2024 from 34 billion to the end of June 2024. Cardoso maintained that the reserve have grown significantly with the remittance flow, which is currently representing 9.4. So let's say kudos to many diaspora that are sending money home, after receiving their pay packet, even though some of us have to squeeze the money to make sure that our loved ones, are not in a very difficult time, especially with the inflation that is high. Many Nigerians are struggling, to have the 3 square meal. I'm going to take one more, then move straight to the social media because of the time constraint. Sano Nasu, we began indefinite nationwide strike over withheld of salaries. I wonder how the government, especially in this difficult time, expect many workers, to be out there to go to work when you're not paying them the salary as well. They have accused the federal government of the unfair treatment by failing to pay them their 4-month withheld salaries like their academic counterpart. Imagine those in the UK not being paid for a month. I'm sure they will also be out there on the street. So the members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian University, the Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Association Institution have now commenced indefinite nation strike within the campus of the public universities to demand the immediate release of their month withheld salary. So that takes us to what is going on the social media. And as we know this morning, is all about the Federal House of Rep members that assaulted the boat driver. I mean, imagine I have to send, a driver to my house on Uber and expect the driver to bring the food up all the way to the, to the apartment. Even most of the, the pizza order you order, most of them doesn't come upstairs anymore. You'll have to go downstairs and pick it up. Some of what is trending this morning is the Minister of State of Defense, Bayo Onanuga, is trending. But, Boko Haram is trending. And let's talk about the Boko Haram, because Boko Haram is still one of the most deadliest terrorist organizations in the world. And they're still operating in every part of the country this morning. So what we can tell you is that the reaction keeps coming through. But one thing we can say is that, many Nigerians are concerned with the state of things in Nigeria, and it looks like nothing is changing so far. It's getting worse on a daily basis. So these are some of the reaction from Nigerians this morning. This is very disappointing coming from a lawmaker. But again, it also shows that a lot of our elected political office holders should have no business in governance. According to the next one, says there shall be filtered by Nigerians. Again, one is coming, says, na fear app koi. Na only drivers, there shall be bully. He should have slapped the Uber driver abroad and tell him nothing would happen, which is exactly what I said. Imagine if you have to slap a boat driver or a Uber driver, you will then find yourself in a very serious situation. Let's talk about some of what is trending as well this morning from the other part on the social media. According to Akede Odua, any Obas that will attend the meeting, we see the consequences of it. With the flyer that is out, we move, we cancel. The meeting scheduled for November 7, 2024 at the Lagos State by some Obas. The agenda of the meeting is to work against the Yoruba land and the actualization of the Yoruba nation. They are on agenda to reamalgamate Yoruba land through the British colony master again. We say no to any form of amalgamation in Yoruba land again. Enemies within and without, be careful. The 1914 amalgamation has expired in 2014. Yoruba nation, no going back, no going back. And this is coming from Yonkan. Peace for Yoruba nation. Again, I'm going to take one more, then come back again to you. Mr. Bayo Onanuga is one of the spokesmen of the president this morning. And there's a lot of different, discussion on what he says, especially if you're speaking on behalf of the government. So I'm trying to see while he's trending this morning, but as usual, I can't pick anything. But let's now type in Nigeria and see what reaction is still coming, from Nigeria on the social media space before I return back again to you in the studio. We've picked up Dele Farotimi. I am directed to my principal caregiver on God to thank each and every one of your outpouring love. I think that was a birthday celebration. Peter Obi. Yesterday, my gratitude tour to Nigerians in the diaspora continued yesterday. He's currently in Los Angeles, California, as I met with Nigerian diaspora community and shared a consistent message to positive desire, admonish them not to give up hope in Nigeria. Well, not sure whether many Nigerians are giving up hope or not, but time will tell. Our favorite online doctor, I will make you disappear in this Nigeria and nothing would happen. Again, that is copied to the police, and we see kindly lend your voice on this criminal is properly investigated. One more we take, then I'll come back again to you. And this is coming from Dambelo. Dambelo is one man that is a teacher, a journalist, a filmmaker, an entrepreneur. But most of his videos has made it known that, to give a balance of some of the things that we are talking about. Let's hear a little bit of this, and I hope it's not in Hausa language.
duk sun fara juyowa kanmu kuma kaga irin wannan albashi da muka yanka wa kanmu mai yawa da irin dadin da muke ji gashi ba mai komai a majalisa ba za su fara juyo kanmu fa me ya kamata mu ai mu kawo abun addini wanda zai raba kansu
jira. That means that even though it's in Hausa language, but the headline says the Islamic law strategy in Nigeria. And like I said, many Nigerians are asking the question, for how long can we keep this together, especially when the politicians continue to oppress and use the word, I can make you disappear. That is how far I can go this morning with you, Mr. Archie. I'm going to come back again to you in the studio.
Well, listen, it's quite an interesting development there. Jira. He said it's a country. He said we are all together. He said there is the freedom to live wherever you like in the country. But you go to some place, they tell you, these are the rules, you have to abide by it. So what do you do in that circumstance? But Yomi, let me say thank you very much for this wonderful time. We know that you are pressed with time and you have to make your move now. Hope that we catch up later then.
Thank you so much. And tomorrow again, if time permits, we'll be back again with the update from Nigeria. But for now, stay tuned with Archie for the rest of the program. And remember to subscribe and follow the Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye for now, sir.
Bye for now.
Well, listen, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. We're going to take a short...
All right, thank you so much. I got to move now. I got other things to do. Moki Princess, I won't need Yeshigani Moki Bubu Mo Yoruba Parapata. We'll catch up when I do have a bit of more time. But for now, I have to keep moving. Thank you so much. Bye for now.